Episode 51. Now her legs hurt so much too. It was like 1,000 knives cutting her body, but she couldn't scream. Otherwise, they would strip Mi-shu. Thank God she was disguised as a man so she could at least protect Mi-shu this way. She couldn't possibly fight back with her hands and legs tied like this, so all she could do now was survive. She believed in Nanshen he would come, maybe for Mi-shu, or maybe for her. Okay, boy. Here it is, the first strike. The man played with the knife in his hand as he grinned, looking terrifying. Tanhua was already in a bad situation, but the kidnappers still wanted to torture her. No. Mi-shu tried to move and block the kidnapper from hurting Tanhua more, but her hair was caught by another man, and she was thrown to the ground so easily. Bruh. Mi-shu. Tanhua moved her body slightly, seeing Mi-shu being thrown like that. It must have hurt. How vicious could these kidnappers be, treating a woman like Mi-shu so roughly? Don't try anything funny, woman, or this boy will suffer even more. Now do it. The leader smirked at Mi-shu's pointless attempt to save Tanhua. He then looked at the other man and ordered him to begin the second round of torture. Crack! The man swung his knife and thrust it into Tanhua's leg, sending another wave of immense pain through her senses. This time, her leg immediately bled heavily, and the sharp pain from the cold blade piercing her skin made it impossible for Tanhua to hold back her reaction. Whack! Tanhua bit her lips to stifle her scream, but a faint groan still escaped, marking her loss. The boy screamed. Now, let's continue. The leader whistled, giving the order. Crack! The man pulled out the knife from Tanhua's leg, especially near her thigh area, and as he did, the blood spurted out again, making Tanhua tremble in pain. Ugh! So painful. Tanhua had lost quite a lot of blood, and her head began to feel dizzy, but she insisted on staying conscious. If she fainted, everything would be over. She couldn't let that happen. Now, the second strike. The man in front of Tanhua laughed again and raised the knife high before thrusting it into Tanhua's other thigh, stabbing deeper than before. Ugh! The pain this time was unbearable, and Tanhua couldn't help but scream. Her scream was so heart-wrenching that Mi-shu could only turn her head away, crying in tears. This was all her fault. They were here because of her, but Tanhua was the one enduring all the suffering. Mi-shu. Tanhua, seeing Mi-shu struggling, dragged her tied hands and legs, crawling on the floor toward her. With the last of her strength, she rammed her head into the man's back, making him stumble and stop what he was doing. What the? The man who was hit turned his body around and saw Tanhua lying on the floor, badly injured but still filled with determination. You're asking for it. Enraged, the man snatched the knife from his friend, raising it high, about to strike Tanhua again. No, Mi-shu cried, trying to stop him, but the knife was already swinging toward Tanhua. Only now, when he saw such a tiny, fragile girl have the strength to survive, even though she was badly wounded like this, did he realize how strong she truly was. Just a glimpse of the blood coming from her thigh made his heart break into pieces. The wounds on Tanhua's body were seriously deep and worrying. Even though he had seen someone in a worse condition before, he was still afraid. What if Tanhua died from blood loss? Or what if she couldn't walk again? What if? Stay strong. You will be fine. You will, Nanshen whispered, his voice trembling as he carried Tanhua to his car to get her to the hospital as soon as possible. His mind was a mess. He felt immense guilt for not being able to save this girl sooner. If not for the GPs, maybe Tanhua would have. It was actually fortunate that he had put GPs on her bracelet otherwise. Just thinking about it made Nanshen shudder. He couldn't possibly imagine it. He wouldn't be able to face reality if that happened. Please let this girl live. Let this girl be all right. Nanshen gritted his teeth as he laid Tanhua down on the back seat of his car, before taking the driver's seat. He couldn't forgive himself for being this careless, but he also couldn't forgive those men. Just wait after Tanhua recovered. He would make sure those men paid for what they did. At the hospital. This boy is quite lucky. He will still be able to walk after a month, but in the meantime, let him use a wheelchair. The doctor finished treating Tanhua's wounds and informed Nanshen of the results. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. Nanshen went as far as bowing to the doctor who had treated Tanhua. When he arrived at the hospital earlier, he had immediately asked for the best doctor to tend to Tanhua. The doctor quickly complied since Nanshen was well known as a wealthy CEO. Because of this, Tanhua received first-class treatment from the best doctor in the hospital. The doctor said Tan Hua was lucky if she had been brought in any later. She might never have been able to walk again. The wounds on her legs were very serious, but thanks to the doctor's excellent skills, she would recover. It's all right, Mr. Nan. Just let the boy stay in the hospital for 3 days, and after that, he can go home. I will bring the medicine for his bruises. Thank God the wound on his ribs wasn't that serious. The doctor, already quite old, bowed politely before leaving Nan Shen alone in Tan Hua's room. By this time, Nan Shen had already used Tan Hua's phone, one he had retrieved from the kidnappers, to call her older sister, Tan Huai, and ask her to come to the hospital. He didn't know why the kidnappers had Tan Hua's phone, but thanks to that, he was able to contact her family. In fact, the kidnappers had wanted to call Nan Shen to threaten him, but Tan Hua didn't have enough money in her account to make the call, so they had given up. They couldn't call Nan Shen using an unknown number either, after all. Nan Shen wouldn't have answered an unfamiliar number. The kidnappers then decided to harm Tan Hua for their own amusement, since they couldn't get money from Nan Shen, and that's how this happened. Back to Nan Shen. At this time, Nan Shen was waiting for Tan Hui to arrive. When he heard hurried footsteps outside, he quickly stood up, ready to welcome Tan Hui. But the one he saw was a handsome blonde man. Nan Shen hadn't even said a word when the blonde man suddenly came closer, and with a speed Nan Shen couldn't react to, the man punched him with all his might. Bah! The punch was so strong that Nan Shen's head spun, and his body was thrown to the ground. Shen Ling. Tan Hui, who had just arrived, was shocked to see the boy who was said to be Tan Hua's best friend, and had been living in their house helping Tan Hua, suddenly punch someone out of nowhere. Don't stop me, big sis. This man deserves a punch. Shen Ling's breath was heavy, his chest rising and falling as he glared at Nan Shen. He had just been cooking something for dinner when he suddenly received a message from Tang Hua. But it wasn't Tan Hua at all who had messaged him. It was Tan Hua's boss, and he said Tan Hua had met with an accident. She was now in the hospital, so he had asked Shen Ling or Tan Hua's family to come. Nan Shen had also messaged Shen Ling since he hadn't received a reply from Tan Hui. She had been at a bar when Nan Shen had called her, as it was already 6 p.m. When he sent the message, Nan Shen messaged Shen Ling, who was in Tan Hua's contact list, hoping the message could be sent to Tan Hua's older sister too. He just didn't expect a man to suddenly arrive with Tan Hua's older sister and punch him. What the? Who is this blonde man? What is he doing punching him out of nowhere? It hurts, bro. It hurts. Damien Nan Shen was about to refute and curse the blonde man when the man suddenly dragged him out of the room, leaving Tan Hui alone to keep an eye on Tan Hua. Hey! What are you doing? Nan Shen immediately slapped away Shen Ling's hand when he stopped at a corner in the hospital where not many people passed by. You. Shen Ling pointed his finger at Nan Shen's face, trying to suppress his anger. He knew very well that Tan Hua was a girl, so when he saw how she had ended up like this, he snapped. This man right here was Tan Hua's boss, right? What had happened to her to make her end up like that? Don't tell him this man, claiming to be her boss, had ordered her to do something dangerous until she became like this. From what he knew about this man, wasn't he involved in the underground business? What if he had used Tan Hua for one of his dealings? What? What's wrong with me? And do you know you're being rude to someone you just met? Nan Shen was also angry at this person, who he suspected to be Shen Ling. He didn't know what this person's relationship with Tan Hua was, but how could this man be so rude to him, even going as far as punching him? Yes, I know I am rude, but you deserve that punch. Just what happened to Tan Hua until he became like that? Shen Ling harumphed in anger just by seeing Nan Shen's face. He really wanted to punch this man once more. He was kidnapped by someone who had a grudge against his friend. Mishu, Nan Shen, actually wanted to curse this blonde man out loud, or maybe punch him back. But seeing that Shen Ling was younger than him, he restrained himself. It wouldn't be cool to fight with someone younger than you. That would be pathetic. Let him be the adult one here if this brat didn't want to. And where were you when that happened? Tan Hua is your employee. I heard from him that he admired you a lot, but, of course, what Shen Ling said just now was a lie since Tan Hua never said she admired Nan Shen. But Shen Ling did it so he could make Nan Shen feel guilty. Nan Shen didn't know Tan Hua was a girl anyway, so to make him feel guilty, he used this method. Really? Feeling quite surprised, Nan Shen raised his eyebrow, questioning if that silly girl would actually talk to this blonde man about him. Wait, what was this man's relationship with Tan Hua that she talked about her work life to him? Yes, it's true. And now you disappoint me. Shen Ling hated the fact that he couldn't be the one saving Tan Hua, so he dumped his anger onto Nan Shen's head. What is your relationship with Tanhua? Nan Shen's face turned a little dark, thinking that Shenling might know Tanhua was a girl. And if that was the case, could it be that this man was Tanhua's boyfriend? She once said she had a girlfriend, but since she was a girl, she was lying back then. But now, it was possible she had a boyfriend. Me? I am only Tanhua's best friend. Well, I live with him though, Shenling said, very casually, not noticing anything wrong with Nan Shen's expression. Nan Shen's mind exploded. What? Living together? This man? Then wouldn't he know Tanhua's real gender? You Nan Shen wanted to ask whether Shenling knew Tanhua's real gender or not, but he didn't know how to phrase it. If he said, "Do you know Tanhua is a girl?" then he would expose her secret himself. What? Now I know the cause of Tanhua becoming like this, and it's not your fault, but you are still guilty for it. Shenling casually ignored Nan Shen's intention to ask him anything, and immediately went back to Tanhua's room. Seeing this, Nan Shen could only swallow his anger and follow Shenling back to the room. In the room, Tan Hui was looking at Tanhua with a worried face, seeing her beloved brother in this condition. She actually had rather bad news for Tanhua, but seeing Tanhua like this, she couldn't say anything. Tanhua get well soon, Tan Hui sighed before leaving Tanhua's room since she had to go back to work. She wasn't too worried about the hospital expenses because she knew that Tanhua's boss would pay for them. Tan Hui took a deep sigh again before leaving the hospital that evening. Tan Hui isn't here? Shenling had just arrived when he saw no one beside Tanhua. Shenling knew that Tan Hui was very busy earning money for them, so he really didn't blame her for not staying for a while. But they still had to take care of Tanhua, right? They couldn't leave her alone, right? Well, then he would gladly stay here. You are busy as a boss, right? So go away now and let me stay here for Tanhua. Shenling casually sat down on the chair next to Tanhua's bed while chasing Nan Shen out of the room. Now this man told him to go away? Hell no. I will stay here. I don't have work anymore. You just go away. Nan Shen couldn't let Shenling stay all night with Tanhua in a room. He had gotten special permission to stay in this room for a long time, even after visiting hours ended. He wanted to be the one guarding Tanhua. He felt guilty, after all. And he didn't feel safe knowing a man would stay up all night in Tanhua's room. Even though this was a hospital, so his thoughts might be too far, but still… Wait, what? No. Shenling was about to insist he would stay when he saw a message from Tanhua telling him to go home, since no one would be there if he didn't go back soon. Damn it! He forgot their house key was quite old, and they needed someone inside the house to make sure it stayed safe. Now Tanhua went to work, and Tanhua was in the hospital. He had to go back no matter what. But he couldn't keep calm knowing this man was the one staying in Tanhua's room all night. What? Aren't you supposed to go now? Seeing Shenling's face turn ugly after reading a text message, Nan Shen could predict what it was about. This blonde man couldn't stay here after all. Serves him right. For today, I'll let you stay here, but don't try anything funny. Shenling's face was red from suppressed anger, but in the end, he left the hospital to hurry home before he missed the last train. Blam! Nan Shen was left alone with Tanhua, who was still unconscious inside the room. Nan Shen sat down in his chair as he looked at Tanhua, whose face was bandaged. His heart always hurt when he saw how a girl like her had gotten injured to this extent. It was already lucky that the doctor said she would be all right after a month or so, but he just couldn't bear to see her like this. I'm sorry. Nan Shen sighed again, while slowly stroking Tanhua's face with his finger. He couldn't save her soon enough to prevent this injury, so he was at fault here too. A pity he couldn't turn back time to prevent this incident. Otherwise, he would have done it gladly. 12 a.m. Tanhua moved a little as she slowly regained consciousness. When she did, she immediately felt pain all over her body, especially her legs. Not only that, but she found out that she couldn't speak at all. Only a faint whisper slipped out from her mouth. She was too weak to talk. Where is this? Hospital? Tanhua moved her head slightly, trying to look at her surroundings. And when she did, she accidentally spotted someone sitting in the chair not far from her bed. That certain someone was currently sleeping, his arms crossed in front of his chest. Boss? What is he doing here? He must be the one who brought her to the hospital, as well as saved her, so there was really no need for him to stay here this late. Tanhua wanted to call Nan Shen again, but her voice was so faint that he wouldn't even hear it. Sighing, Tan Hua stayed silent while watching Nan Shen's sleeping face. Nan Shen sat down near the hospital window, and coincidentally, that night, there was a full moon outside. The moonlight streamed in through the window, illuminating Nan Shen's face with a soft glow as he slept soundly. Thump, thump. Seeing Nan Shen's face bathed in moonlight, Tan Hua's heart couldn't help but beat faster. Nan Shen looked so handsome when he slept. She just hadn't realized it before when Nan Shen was awake. Even though he was handsome, his personality made his charm fade away. Now, with Nan Shen quiet and asleep, he really looked like an angel who had come down from heaven. If only his soul was also like an angel, unfortunately. His soul was as dark as the night. Sensing his faint breath in this empty room suddenly reminded Tan Hua that they were alone now, making her face blush a little. Up until now, she didn't understand why she acted strangely in front of Nan Shen. Why her heart beat faster for him. Or why her heart ached for him. But now she realized, wasn't this what people called love? Love? She loved this two-faced meanie man? Tan Hua's face blushed red as she turned her head around to avoid seeing Nan Shen in her sight. Right. She didn't know that she was in love before, but then how could she not know when her heart always beat for him? Just now, when she saw his face alone, her heart beat faster to the point of nearly exploding from her chest. She couldn't deny that she indeed had feelings for this man. Wait, but in the drama, Nan Shen loved Mei Shu, right? Was it okay for her to love him instead? Well, Mei Shu wouldn't fall for Nan Shen though, so she should still have a chance, right? But now she was in a boy's appearance. Nan Shen wouldn't fall in love with a boy. Should she wait until her sister could be cured to chase after Nan Shen, or… But what if someone else chased after him while she was still in her boy appearance? Wouldn't that be bad? Should she just try to make Nan Shen like her for now? Nan Shen thought of her as his little brother, so he would at least have a good feeling about her, right? She should take advantage of this. Tan Hua was never someone who would stay silent when she knew what she wanted. Up until now, she hadn't realized her feelings for Nan Shen, and so she didn't do anything. It was strange how, after she was beaten up, she got this enlightenment. Maybe it was true she had to be beaten up first to have her head clear like this. Now she was fully aware of her feelings toward this man. Even though that would mean she was a masochist, she would do something to win this man's heart. Just wait. Nan Shen. She would try to get his heart even when she didn't reveal her true gender to him. That night, Tan Hua made a resolution that would be the first big step she took in this world. At this time, Tan Hua didn't know that her decision would bring something unexpected to her, whether it was good or bad. The next morning, Nan Shen had just woken up when he saw Tan Hua already eating an apple that a nurse had brought for her, looking very casual. Noticing that Nan Shen had woken up, Tan Hua tried to look as normal as possible and flashed a smile, greeting him cheerfully. "Big brother!" "Good morning." Tan Hua's smile was truly cute, and no one would be able to resist her charm. But unfortunately, her face was still wrapped in bandages, so the charm wasn't as effective as usual. Seeing that Tan Hua had already regained consciousness and looked all right without any mental problems, Nan Shen couldn't help but let out a big sigh. Thank God, thank God. Nan Shen thanked the god of this world, which was none other than the one who had punched him in the face. Well, that god was on vacation from his job, so it was pointless to thank him. Eh? What is it? Tan Hua saw Nan Shen slumped over and looking very tired, more tired than usual. Nan Shen's face looked pale with dark circles under his eyes. He was also still wearing his Wait, what? He was still wearing his suit? Didn't that mean… Big bro, you haven't gone home? Wait, since when have you been here? Looking at how Nan Shen looked, then Hua was sure he had been here for a long time. The nurse who had just arrived and heard this question giggled before answering Tan Hua herself. Your big brother has been here since yesterday, ever since you were admitted to the hospital. The nurse giggled as she handed Tan Hua another apple. She was quite happy to see a big brother as kind as Nan Shen, who was obviously busy, but still sacrificed his own time for his little brother. How touching. Hearing what the nurse said, Tan Hua's mouth dropped open, and her eyes widened at Nan Shen, as if he were a rare Pokemon. Why did you that? You still have work at the office, right? And Tan Hua was flustered since she knew this was her fault. Nan Shen was here instead of doing his work as a busy CEO. She knew how busy Nan Shen was from morning to evening, but he had abandoned all his work just to stay with her here. Who wouldn't feel touched as well as guilty because of this? Tan Hua was about to protest more when Nan Shen approached her, and, with one smooth movement, carefully hugged her body as if she were a fragile glass statue. Srak. Don't say that it's not your fault. It's my fault for not being able to save you sooner. Nanshen stroked the back of Tan Hua's head as he whispered faintly. While he stroked her head, his hand was obviously shaking. He was still afraid that Tan Hua wouldn't be able to live like a normal person because of this incident. Just thinking about that made his heart ache. It seemed that he had started to consider this girl as someone special to him. Well, not to the point of falling in love, of course. Okay. Seeing Nanshen's body trembling, Tan Hui couldn't say anything and kept her mouth shut. She indeed felt guilty distracting Nanshen from his work, but looking at him like this, she was defeated. It seemed that Nanshen really took her as his real brother. It was obvious, right? Otherwise, why would he feel this worried for her until his body was shaking? Well, even though it was just a brotherly affection, she was still happy. Actually, Nanshen himself wasn't sure about his feelings for Tan Hua. He regarded her as his little brother, but then he knew she was a girl, so automatically, he saw her as his little sister. But once again, when Tan Hua was in her girl appearance, he couldn't help but see her as something more than a little sister. Nanshen still wasn't sure about his feelings since he thought he liked Meishu. Maybe Nanshen only needed a little push to make him realize his feelings. The nurse who saw Nanshen hugging Tan Hua carefully had a gleeful smile all over her face, watching the siblings' interaction. The situation was all sweet and bubbly when suddenly the door to Tan Hua's room was opened with a bang, startling everyone. The hell? Nanshen almost hugged Tan Hua tightly when he was startled by the bang sound. Thankfully, he quickly let her go and looked to see what was going on. He was just about to curse the rude person who opened the door so abruptly when he saw two familiar people, Meishu and Ren Yuan. Nanshen tilted his head in confusion, seeing Meishu and Ren Yuan standing at the door, catching their breath as if they had just run a marathon. Nanshen was about to say hi or something to Meishu when she suddenly ran past him in a blur before arriving at a place beside Tan Hua's bed. Nanshen was ignored. Completely. It's okay. He is okay. Haha. Haha. Tan Hua. Meishu took Tan Hua's hand carefully as she hugged her, looking very worried, making Tan Hua and everyone inside the room, aside from the nurse, dumbfounded. They had never seen Meishu looking so flustered before, so when she did get flustered for Tan Hua, everyone's reaction was different. Nanshen had a worried expression on his face, concerned that Meishu might accidentally hurt Tan Hua by hugging her that tight. Ren Yuan had a dark face since he saw Meishu hugging another man aside from him. Even though that man was clearly young, 22 years old, and Meishu might see him as a little brother, he was still irritated